Good morning, Jubilee. And thank you, Daniel, for that beautiful video and music. It's always so peaceful to start there in your yard. It's like having coffee with you on the porch. So thank you for that. So let me start, as we do every week, with a little tech info. For those of you who've been showing up for a year, you're probably tired of hearing these, but we have some new people and sometimes we forget things. We'd love it if you could put your video on. It just helps us feel like we're actually present with each other. If you're not able or willing to do that, that's fine. But if you are, it's nice to be able to see each other's faces. If you want to save the chat, you may do so by going down into the chat function, and next to the place where you would write something in chat yourself, hover over the three little dots that are on the right side, and save chat is one of the options, and you can save the chat that way. And that will give you all the links and any comments that you wanted to remember, that sort of thing. You can also remember that all of this information is in our newsletter. So if you aren't getting the newsletter, please check in with Michele so that you can make sure you get the information that way. And you can also find it just by going to our website. It's updated on a regular basis. Michelle's doing a great job of putting new information on every single week, and sometimes multiple times during the week, so that anything you need is right there. Speaking of Zoom, so I was telling the group at our little sound check ahead of time that I went to a retreat yesterday that was on Zoom, a little online silent meditation retreat, and I was kind of made crazy by all the Zoom issues they were having, and I realized that, you know, when you come to meditation, whatever happens is the meditation. So dealing with Zoom was part of the meditation for me yesterday. And it gave me some sympathy for how you all probably feel every Sunday when you come and are having to deal with Zoom issues with us. And just remember that we're all bringing the best we can, and it's an imperfect technique in an imperfect world with imperfect people leading you, and yet it's perfect that we're all here and all doing this together. So thanks. So we have passed the 1 year mark of Jubilee being on Zoom. It's hard to believe, isn't it? Or maybe for those of you who've been doing it, it's easy to believe. Who could have predicted this year that we've lived through? I was your guest speaker last year on March 29th, and we were 2.5 weeks into the pandemic at that point. And looking back over what I said, you'd have thought we were 2.5 years into it. Oh my gosh, little did we know what we had ahead of us. Jokes were abounding last week about how our attitudes have changed in this year. Some of the tweets I saw at the beginning of the pandemic, my goals were write a screenplay, train for a half marathon. And now they're literally like, wash your hair. Or another one said, I blush when I think about all of us back in March. The crafts, the bread, Tiger King. It's like remembering yourself in the 7th grade. Or this is probably my favorite, March 11th, 2020. At least with a month at home, I can finally get that book done. March 11th, 2021. Well, whatever you've done over the past year, we have come full circle, and we are now beginning a new Via, the Transformativa. Becoming is our theme for this quarter as we seek to embody different states of transformation, not just to seek healing, but to become healing, not just to love nature, but to recognize that we are nature. And today we explore becoming balance as we find ourselves in this time of the equinox in balanced light and darkness, day and night. How balanced are you feeling today? Physically balanced? Mentally? Emotionally? Does the world seem like it's in balance? 1 year into the pandemic, do you feel more or less balanced than you did a year ago? Here's one more of those tweets. March 2020, resolves that during quarantine, I will improve my fitness, invest more, and learn a valuable hobby. March 2021, congratulates myself for putting on pants. Well, Wherever you are and whether you've put on your pants today or not, let's wake ourselves up to the possibility of balance.
We know this one. Here we go. Awake, my soul. Awake, my soul. Awake, my soul. You were made to meet your maker. You were made to meet your maker. You were made to meet your maker. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Thank you for that, Daniel, and thank you, Laura, for that wonderful introduction. And, you know, how do I feel about balance today? And, you know, coming into appreciation and gratitude, the so-called first day of spring, or the springtime we're coming up on, and the anticipation of what our seed will grow into. And hopefully finding that balance of light and energy and desire to grow in a balanced way. And so with that, let's remind ourselves as we come in and becoming balanced. And if we're becoming balanced, doesn't mean we're not coming not from it. It just means that we just sometimes have to kind of catch up with the perspective of what's really going on around us, like Laura was talking about. You know, sometimes the reality of time isn't really what you get. So with that, if you will, please just take a deep breath. Oh, ancestors of the East, we thank you. We thank you for coming and bringing with you the greenery of this time of season. Thank you for the freshness of the air. Thank you for the reminder of life to come by remembering where we come from. Thank you for offering that path to us in a good way. We invite you to continue to share your gift and your medicine with us in that way, as we desire to grow in balance toward the future. Help us to know where we are in the sacred hoop of life, so that we might walk in that light. Oh. Face to the south, please. Oh, spirits of the south, we're in gratitude for all that you do for us, all the known and the unknown, all the mystery and all the miracle. We thank you for nurturing our seed in the soil that is our soul. We ask you to continue to quench our thirst for knowledge and guidance, the quest for love and balance. We ask you to continue to flow inside of us in a balanced way, in a good way, so that we can make ripples that reach into the future with goodness in our heart. Thank you. Thank you, Water Nation, for all that you do for us in a good way, I hope. Face to the west, please. Oh, ancestors of the West, to all of those that have come before, we thank you. We thank you for the balance that you found in your life, and that we can live that balance now as we understand it. Thank you for helping us through these times of self-doubt. Thank you for helping this community in this time of our leadership and guidance. Thank you for being that voice of the past and in the future to guide us. Thank you for hearing our prayers and our calls to you with tonight, in the day, or any time we call your name. Thank you for being there for us. We offer this to you in a good way and invite you to come and celebrate this day, I hope. And to the north, to all the living beings of the wind nations, thank you. Thank you for each and every breath that we have. Thank you for the butterfly effect that is each and every breath that we put out into the world, and each breath that we take in. Help us to appreciate each and every one as a miracle. Thank you for filling our hearts with love and understanding and passion. Help us to find that balance so that we might soar to the places that only the wind can take us. We honor you and we stand in awe of your medicine. Ask you to continue to share and know that we honor you and thank you in a good way. I hope. One more deep breath. To all the ancestors of the universe, thank you. To every star that we can see and to everyone that's beyond them. And may we reach that far into the depths of our spirit to share the best of ourselves, to give of the balance that's offered to us in the seen and the unseen, the known and the unknown. Thank you for the great mystery, ancestors. Help us to continue to thrive in this mystery and help us to walk the path of certainty and balance in a good way. I hope.
Thank you, Yona. Walking the path. I'm grateful for the mystery, and sometimes the only thing that we can be certain of is that the sun is returning. And so we're going to celebrate just that little bit of certainty. An old familiar song is going to sound a little bit different. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, the smiles returning to the faces. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Sun, 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 here it comes. 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 One more time. Sun, 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 here it comes. Little darling, I feel the ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
Good morning.
Good morning, Michelle. Welcome.
Is it me?
Yes, yes. Go for it.
Ah,
Share your beauty and wisdom.
it is a beautiful day to be alive in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Can I get an amen?
Amen to that.
Oh, the wheels, that song always makes me cry. That song always makes me cry. The Wheel of the Year marks the 8 holy days of the indigenous European tradition and is the origin of the Vias that we celebrate in creation spirituality here at Jubilee. Looking back briefly at Samhain, Day of the Dead, All Hallows, way back then, we honored death and we entered the void. Then on solstice, the light returned and it's deep winter for a while. And the wheel turns and gradually the days become noticeably longer. And on Bridget's Day, we move into Imbolc season, where we've been for the last 6 weeks until yesterday. The days have continued to grow longer, and at 5:37 a.m. yesterday, the earth tilted perfectly toward the sun, and we received 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night, the great balance. Bright yellow daffodils appear randomly along our walks. Green sprouts are breaking ground. White witch hazel and golden forsythia bloom with exuberance. If we let the lawn return to meadow, tiny purple veronica and lush dead nettle arise to offer early nectar to the bees, along with the dandelions. Birds of song, birds of prey return or pass through on their migration, the yellow-bellied sapsuckers, the bluebirds, the Cooper's hawk, and red-tailed. Any day now, the spring peepers and the cricket frogs will begin to sing at night. All this in response to the tilt of the earth toward the sun and the cosmic relationship of allurement that turns light into sugar and creates all the life we know. We step outside, we lift our faces to the warm sun, and the heart swells to bursting with gratitude. Spring, we made it again. Hallelujah. The spring equinox. This is the day we celebrate Persephone's return from the underworld, where she's been reigning as queen since her descent last fall. The Elysian mysteries, celebrated at the autumnal equinox, were the high point of ancient Greek religion. And if we continue this journey through the wheel of the year together, then in September, perhaps I'll tell the story of how Persephone became the queen of the underworld. Click like if you want to hear that. Her emergence at spring marked the culmination of the Elysian mysteries, which were celebrated for over 4,000 years throughout the Mediterranean and even into North Africa, even after the rise of Christianity. And isn't this still the greatest mystery of all? The greatest transformation, death and rebirth, descent into the underworld and reemergence into the light, death of an old identity and rebirth as something different, encountering the underworld and reemerging to live again. We certainly sense the poignancy of this equinox more than ever today, don't we? As a community, as a nation, we've journeyed to the underworld together, but separated, each having our own journey while communally experiencing it. What if we knew a journey to the underworld was something one can stay awake for? What if we remembered the emergence, that emergence is part of that story too? What new aspect of your identity is emerging at this time? What do you bring back from your journey to the underworld? How are you transformed? What is blooming? What is taking sprout? What is taking flight? Blessed be. And so it is. Amen.
And so it is. Thank you. Thank you, Michele. Can't wait to see you sooner on the summer solstice. And if not sooner. Breathe deeply, Jubilants. Get out your bowls and bells as we enter into this prayer time. I've already seen some deeply moving prayers in the chat. You can pray with any one of us at any time. We do take your prayers very seriously. Rumi said, your hand opens and closes, opens and closes. If it were always a fist or always stretched open, you would be paralyzed. Your deepest presence is in every small contracting and expanding. The two as beautifully balanced and coordinated as birds' wings. No matter how your body moves, as precisely or imprecisely as your brain wills it, our heart, our soul, are birds' wings. Our lungs, our heartbeat, are birds' wings. Look out at our birds' feeders right now, pretty full of wings. I invite you to breathe deeply and find the wings best represented by this holy, holy time of year. Please pray with friends in the chat, and we'll pass them on. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. The most ancient and essential of prayers and exaltations. Blessed be and oh yeah.
So here's an opportunity to reach out and chat some folks up, say hi. If we were in physical space together, we'd walk around the room, see somebody we might not have ever seen before, or that we haven't seen for a while. Come up and say hi to them. Give it some expression that they're important to you. You're glad that you just see them. This is an opportunity to do that on Zoom. Reach out and say hi to somebody. In the midst of the morning, we open to all of the gifts of the day. We open our hearts to take it all in and give it all back in our way. Let us sing of the beauty around us. Let us sing of the beauty within. Oh, hear the earth tell that all shall be well. Anam Cara, so friend. Let's do that again. In the midst of the morning we open you all of the gifts of the day, including each other. We open our hearts to take it all in and give it all back in our way. Yeah, let us sing of the beauty around us. Let us sing of the beauty within. Oh, hear the earth tell that all shall be well. Anam Cara, Anam Cara, soul friend. So good to see you all. And we're going to be singing for the rest of the day. So, Terry, I think you are up now, or you have a video to share with us? I'm not seeing you. You may be talking and muted. I'm not sure. There we go.
There I am. I'm unmuted, but I'm echoing. Does anybody else hear my echo?
Yep.
Don't know why that is, but it's not there anymore, so I'll go with that. So good morning, everyone. Singers decided to present today a piece that is Spring Break 1575, a madrigal from Thomas Morley that talks about the anti-balance. We're going to go all out. We're overwhelmed with the lovely spring. And here it is. JR is playing the video today, so go for it, JR.
Sing we enchanted, wild doth granted, fa la 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 la. Sing we enchanted, wild doth granted, fa la 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 la. Not all you fasted, and only tasted, now is best pleasure to take our pleasure. Fa la 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 la. Not all you fasted, and only tasted, now is best pleasure to take our pleasure. Fa la 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 la. All things invite us now to delight us. Fa la 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 la. All things invite us now to delight us. Fa la 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 la. And steady backing, no earthly lacking. Let's spare no treasure to live in pleasure. Fa la 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 and steady backing, no earthly lacking. Let's spare no treasure to live in pleasure. Fa la 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 la.
Thank you, Terry and singers. Wow. I have no idea how you made it look like everyone was in the same room, but that was very cool and a beautiful song. Thank you so much. And now, Jubilee, hear these ancient words. From the 11th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And from St. Robin Williams, spring is nature's way of saying, let's party. This is ancient wisdom and holy word. Thanks be to all that is wise and holy. All creation is wisdom and holy word. All creation sings of wisdom and God. Hallelujah. Well, 10 years ago marked the 1-year anniversary of the World Health Organization declaring a global pandemic. Jubilee's first Zoom celebration happened on the Ides of March. And that was the same week that Amy was let go as your minister. Whew, now there's a week that could throw the most grounded soul off balance. Balance. It sounds nice, doesn't it? Did any of you see the movie called The Walk? It's based on the true story of the French high wire artist Philippe Petit and his walk between the twin towers of the World Trade Center. He walked across a wire between the roofs of what were at that time the 2 tallest buildings in the world. No belay, no safety nets, just him on a wire all the way up. That was one of the most stressful movies I have ever watched in my entire life. I had a stomachache the entire time, but I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. Maybe balance isn't as easy as a walk in the park. Maybe it's always a high wire act. So Jubilee started the pandemic in the Via Creativa and progressed through all those spiritual paths again. Transformativa, positiva, negativa, creativa, and now back to transformativa. Grounding ourselves in the cycles of the season, the dance between sun and earth, reminds us that whatever is going on, the world keeps turning, the sun keeps shining, and we always have a chance to begin again. Such cosmic balance does not rely on us having a balanced day or week or even year. It's a balance we live inside, and we can choose to notice it whether we're feeling personally balanced or not, whether the world is feeling balanced or not. This week did not feel so balanced to me. A young white man killed 8 people, mostly women, mostly Asian Americans. The murderer was described by a former youth minister as one of the most committed members of the church's youth group. He was featured on his church's Facebook page, which has since been taken down with their other social media, but not before someone captured a video of last week's sermon about God's plans to destroy people in the end times. There's one word devoted to their demise, the pastor said: swept away, banished, judged. They have no power before God. Satan himself, that great dragon deceiver, God throws him into an eternal torment. And then we read where everyone that rejects Christ will join Satan and the false prophet in hell. Whew. Well, when a person believes in a God who finds most of humanity not only deplorable but disposable, it's not a far leap for that believer to find other people disposable too. Apparently, this killer believed he was removing temptation by ridding the world of women in massage parlors. The church has a long and ugly history of blaming women as temptresses. It's such misogynistic theology that has kept women out of ordination in so many traditions. It's the theology that tried almost successfully to rid the world of evidence that Mary Magdalene was an apostle by ordering in the 4th century that all copies of her gospel be destroyed. Fortunately, a few copies remained. And misogynist theology underlies the Vatican's message this week that they won't bless same-sex marriages because that would be blessing sin. Fear that men might be like women in a relationship underlies much homophobia. God forbid any man should be treated the way women get treated. So let's be clear. The racialized misogyny that led a white man to mow down 8 human beings this week has its roots in bad theology. So here we are, just past the equinox, gathered as a community of faith at the beginning of this way of transformation. Now, in the Northern Hemisphere, it makes sense that we call this season in particular Transformativa. If you can see outside from wherever you are right now, just take a moment to drink it in. Here in Asheville, the forsythia burst into flame this week. The red buds opened, the pear and tulip trees flowered, seemingly overnight. The stark winter beauty gave way to the tiny green leaves sparkling on the dancing willow branches. Daylight and darkness may be balanced now, but as Terry noted, in the midst of spring, there is nothing balanced about the proliferation of blossoms and pollen. Spring is over the top. It's almost gauche in its abundance. Trees drip with blossoms, far more than is necessary for the species to propagate. The air is alive with the sexiness of it all. And that sensual beauty is not something to be afraid of, certainly not something to shoot down. In fact, we know it's good. Very, very good. Breathe. Jubilee is grounded in creation spirituality, a way of seeing the world and God and ourselves in the context of the enormous blessing that it is to be alive on earth right now. We acknowledge that in the beginning, it was all very, very good, and that this goodness is our deepest truth, our birthright, that we are all intricately connected to each other and to this garden in which we've been placed. Our garden home right now is ripe with the sumptuous, sensuous splendor of spring, and also spoiled with the shame-based, racist, sexist acts of violence from a gunman and a pope. It's always tempting to find ourselves on the right side of history, to feel good that we're the compassionate ones, the woke ones, the people who get it, who know the right hashtags and how to use them. In other words, not like them. But if we claim the mantle of original blessing, don't we claim it for all? When I lived in a community with men returning to society after prison, one of the principles in our house meetings was that we all stood equal before each other and before God. We shared our struggles candidly, and we opened ourselves to each other's feedback. So if I showed up at a meeting feeling like I had my act all together and everything was good, I might get the side eye from the guys who were seeing me 24/7 in that house. Not that we didn't encourage positive feelings and joyous hope. We did. We just learned that we couldn't get there by bypassing our wounds. Spiritual practice, whether it's doing an Ignatian prayer of examen, you can Google it if you don't know what that is, or sitting in zazen and returning over and over to our breath, invites us to bring our whole selves into the presence. And our whole selves includes the whole of humanity. So light and dark, summer and winter, branches, roots, branches, water, fire, compassion, judgment, love, hate, peace, violence, we bring it all. So even as my anger rises with a fierce and holy desire to protect life, I have to acknowledge how quick I am to dismiss people who don't see the world the way I do. What kind of energy am I adding to our shared consciousness if I meet hate with hate? Today's teaching from Rabbi Jesus offers a strange concept. Come to me, he says, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So isn't rest the time we take off our yokes? Think of an ox pulling the plow. The ox who wants rest does not head towards the plow and put on the yoke. But this is what Jesus says. If you want rest, put my yoke on your shoulders. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. This sounds a bit like a Zen koan. What kind of yoke is easy and when is burden light? When we say we feel burdened, we feel weighed down, heavy with responsibilities or overwhelmed with feelings. So what could Jesus possibly mean? I think one of the great gifts of creation spirituality is stepping back to take the cosmic view. We did nothing to bring the equinox. We could not make it happen, nor could we stop it from happening. It's a moment of balance that arrives without our work. So this is grace, to see this perfect unfolding of time as a gift to be received. But if all is unfolding in perfect time, does that mean we have no responsibility? That we are simply to receive the gift of life and let things happen without feeling any burden? I believe that Jesus' teaching is suggesting a middle way, neither taking on all of life's difficulties and darknesses as our own, nor living in constant light, sort of blinded to harsh realities. In coming awake to life, we do take on a yoke of responsibility. Being a conscious soul does come with a burden. We cannot be awake to life without seeing the reality of death. We cannot be aroused to peace without understanding violence. We can't be alert to love without recognizing the presence of its opposite. So as conscious souls, we willingly, gladly take on that yoke. And if in the way of Jesus, he says his yoke is rest for our souls. But what does that mean? So just hang in there with me for a second as I get a little metaphysical on you. So in creation spirituality, there's this concept of the cosmic Christ. Richard Rohr says, Christ is our shortcut word for the body of God or God materialized. This Christ, he writes, is much bigger and older than either Jesus of Nazareth or the Christian religion, because the Christ is whenever the material and the divine coexist, which is always and everywhere. The Christ is whenever the material and the divine coexist, which is always and everywhere. I believe the yoke Jesus invites us to wear is this cosmic incarnation of God. I think this is what Paul means in Romans when he says we should clothe ourselves in Christ, or in Corinthians or Philippians when he says we're to have the mind of Christ. When we invite into our bodies and minds the consciousness of God's presence in all creation, the earth and all her plants and creatures, the people, including ourselves, and those we find other, we are yoked to the whole creation, yoked, united to all as one. One body, as Alexia said last week in her message. So the suffering of others becomes our suffering. The pain of the earth becomes our pain. This is the burden. But it is light when it's held in this cosmic view, an outlook that sees that what happens this week is part of an eternal scheme unfolding, started billions of years before us and extending beyond us into infinity. This moment matters. Each moment matters. Each choice matters. The energy we create matters. The love we share matters. Matters. And when we awaken to this cosmic Christ energy, we live inside a balance that's so much bigger than the shape of our individual lifetimes. When we carry this awareness, this yoke, we are in turn carried by it, as if the plow is pulling us rather than we pulling it. So Jesus of Nazareth found that balance, this capacity to live from the energy of this cosmic creative soup while walking with his flesh and blood feet firmly planted on the solid ground of Mother Earth. Fully human, fully divine. And in that wholeness, balance, and healing. And this Jubilee is the possibility he offers each of us. Human, divine, cosmic creature, energy, matter. Suffering, rejoicing, yoked, living in the balance of heaven and earth right here, right now. Philippe Petit, the high wire artist I mentioned earlier, who walked from the roof of one twin tower to the roof of the other on a little wire, said that when he started walking that day, for the first time in his life, he felt truly thankful and at peace. What looked to me like the most stressful possible event was for him the most peaceful. Maybe this is like taking on the consciousness, the burden of God consciousness, the yoke of being at one with the suffering of the whole cosmos. Maybe this turns out to be the rest that we long for and desire. It's a bit of a mystery. And I'm going to invite you in for a moment of just sitting with that mystery of how we are yoked to both heaven and earth, cosmic and creation. And I want you to imagine your own bodies as sort of a conduit between these two realities, this energy and matter. And I want you to, in that place, invite that spirit, that cosmic Christ, that heavenly sensation to be present in your own body. So let's take a moment of silence. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me. Melt me, mold me, fill me, use me. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me.
Thank you, Laura. That was really very empowering. We have a balance of announcements today. Jubilee in Action to serve the community and Holy Week experience to serve your spirit. And as always, links to all the details are in chat in this week's newsletter and on our website. So first, the JIA announcements. 4 spots are opening up on our board of directors this summer. If you're interested in joining the board or know someone else who is interested, please contact Nancy Ellington or Bill Byrne. Under One Sky Foundation is still looking for adult mentors for foster kids 7 to 17 years old. If you'd like to get involved in this mentoring opportunity, please contact Aubrey Leonard at Under One Sky. And Holy Week begins next week, Palm Sunday. And Sarah Woodward from Jubilee House Community Development of Central America and Nicaragua will be the main speaker on Palm Sunday. So please bring a leafy branch to the celebration for waving and singing. And we know that palms are generally the thing that people are going to wave on Palm Sunday, hence its name. But in many parts of the world, people actually use other plants. Like I went to a Palm Sunday celebration in Paris where they used yew branches. So find a leafy branch and bring it. There'll be a Holy Thursday service of remembrance at 6:30 p.m. on April 1st at 46 Wall Street. With COVID safety precautions, only 25 people can sign up to attend. Easter Sunday will include a sunrise service at 7 a.m. on the Labyrinth in the River Arts District, as well as the usual 9:45 online service. There is a link to all these Holy Week experiences and a sign-up list for the Holy Thursday event at the Celebration Center right on the homepage of our website. And that's it for Jubilee in Action today.
Thanks, Michelle.
And wait just a moment, Daniel. Something I forgot to tell you before is that we have, and if I can find, we've got someone from the Earth team who is going to give a little Jubilee in action from the Earth team. And my apologies for not letting you know that. And let me see if I can find them to unmute them.
You mean there's a surprise? There's a surprise today? Are you kidding?
It's always a suggestion, right? Always a suggestion. I am going to, okay, allow people to unmute themselves, but please only the person that is going to unmute yourself. Which I believe today is.
Hello.
There we are. I couldn't find you on my little screen there. Thank you for unmuting yourself.
Waving.
Thanks, Molly.
Good morning. I'm Molly Milner with the first of our Earth Team Eco Minutes. This message is from an article by Sarah Lazaro in Yes Magazine, a magazine of journalism for people building a better world. We are of two worlds. We are aware our world should be entirely different with ecological principles at its core. Sustainability needs to guide all that we do. And to understand a thriving planet means thriving people. And then we go back to our daily life of dealing with climate chaos, COVID, bills, too much plastic, and our deeper vision of how to live becomes unbalanced. How do we keep our connection with ecological world at the forefront? The best way is to just go outside. Getting outside reminds us of our place in the natural world. And as we know, also has a myriad number of health benefits. The important thing is just to go, to notice, to breathe in the sweet breath of nature. It's amazing how much you can notice by exploring a small radius around you. Another way to maintain an ecological presence is to cultivate something. Even planting pansies in a pot will work. And we have all learned new ways of being with friends outside during the pandemic. Research also shows that looking at pictures of nature brings down stress levels, improving mental health. A love of the natural world can lead us to environmental advocacy. The more you love nature, the more you work to protect it. The key to balancing ourselves is to make nature a part of our everyday lives. So, exercise outside, draw, dance, and create outside, commute outside if possible, look at green things, open a window, camp in your backyard. Thank you.
Aho to that. Thank you, Molly. Yes, 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 absolutely. I'm in. Oh yeah. So let's sing this together. We all know this one too. So I think the words will be on your screen because in case we've got a different verse here than some of us we know. But here we go. Mortals join the happy chorus which the morning stars begin. Love divine is reigning o'er us, joining all in heaven's plan. Ever singing march we onward, joyful in the midst of strife. Joyful music leads us sunward in the holy song of life. Let's do that again. I'm kind of imagining that maybe all of us didn't quite get that. Let's do that again. There we go. Mortals join the happy chorus which the morning stars began. Love divine is reigning o'er us, joining all in heaven's plan. Ever singing march march we onward, joyful in the midst of strife. Joyful music leads us sunward in the holy song of life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you. So go out, Jubilee, this week into the sumptuous, sensual, sexy splendor of spring, enjoying this amazing place where our feet are planted, lifting our hearts sunward. And remember to stay for the breakout rooms so that we can give each other this good spirit before we leave for the week. And now, our final song. You can unmute yourself.
Yes. This is an old favorite. Oh, we all know this one. All shall
be well. All shall be well. All manner of things shall be well. All shall be well.